The following Nasdaq Behind the Bell podcast was recorded live at the 2017 NRF Annual Convention and Expo, retail's big show at the Jacob K. Javits Convention Center in New York City. Here are your Nasdaq hosts, Bradley Smith and Josh Matches.
Hey everybody, we are live from the NRF Innovation Lab. You are tuned into the Behind the Bell podcast brought to you by Nasdaq, and you are listening to the voice of Brad Smith and
Josh Matches.
Awesome. So we've been having a great ongoing discussion today, and one of the things that we want to do is kind of diversify the topics that we're talking about. So we've already discussed the Gen Z side of things today very healthily, but what we haven't hit on is payments yet, and so that's critical to any part of the retail experience. And to kind of dive in on this a little bit further, we've got Roelant Prins, Chief Commercial Officer at Adyen.
Great to be here.
How are you enjoying the conference so far?
I love it. It's what's really special about it. We're a very global business, so we have offices across Europe, US, but also Brazil, Singapore, and it feels like there's hundreds of parallel tracks going on.
Yeah.
You know, we have people from our Brazil office that are touring the show with a big Brazilian delegation. We have people from the UK spending days with this whole UK retail gang. There's our French team is here with a lot of French. It's amazing. So the world of retail really is getting together, and we have people from all the offices that are here, and it's all working together. It's really fascinating.
Amazing.
Wonderful. So, I mean, this is an incredibly global conference, and you guys are an incredibly global provider. Can you tell us a little bit about your solutions so that our friends who are listening to the podcast can really understand what Adyen does?
Yeah, sure. So let me give you a bit of context what we do. We're a payments processing company, so we help merchants accept payments from their customers. And the way we do it is that to us, it doesn't matter where the consumer is based, which country. It doesn't matter whether they're buying in-store or online or on a mobile phone. They should be able to pay. Across the world, many different payment methods are being used, very much culturally driven. And we make that all available through our customers through a single integration. Now, why is that relevant? And why are we successful? Because we're growing quickly. You know, we started about 9 years ago, and what we saw is that the world of commerce, of course, changing super rapidly. You know, e-commerce players really growing super quickly, and we see mobile really picking up. Every company wants to go international. And they were all being forced to work with, you know, very old payment systems. And what happened is that people started to layer on top of those different payment systems ways to integrate. And retailers ended up connecting with 5 to 6 or sometimes 20 different payment companies, older systems, causing a lot of friction, causing a lot of trouble in running it, and ultimately also, you know, leading to them being unable to reach their customers. What we've done over the past years is really started to build a completely new infrastructure for payments, where we basically step by step have removed a lot of these old pieces of the puzzle. And by now we run everything on a completely newly designed system. We integrate directly with the payment methods, including Visa, MasterCard. And our platform enables retailers to accept payments online, but also in their stores, on mobile. And there's one platform across all the regions and all the channels, and it really opens up a lot of possibilities for retailers to do what they want to do in the future.
Absolutely. Tell us about some of the major brands that you work with as well. We were speaking about some of them earlier, some great NASDAQ listed brands, by the way. Who are some of the big players that you're working with right now?
So we, a lot of people know us from being very successful with the tech players. And so we've been working for quite some time with Uber, with Facebook, with Netflix, Spotify, etc. However, over time, we've really been developing solutions for the retail industry. And by now, we have a lot of those companies on board as well. So we work with the likes of Inditex, Mango, people like J.Crew or Scotch and Soda, and a lot of the apparel brands, which I won't name right now, but you know. And the reason is that they're all looking at they really got to move on the e-com and mobile side of things, because otherwise other players are going to capture that market. So they're all looking at, hey, Adyen, you work with these leading companies. they've paved the way for what we want to achieve. Can you help us?
Right.
So that's one thing that's driving us into really global expansion and getting that right. And on the other side, yeah, they're really looking to transform the way they interact with their customers. So enabling all their omni-channel IDs and things that they really need to do, we can help them with. And although they're pretty intense projects, but with older systems that only help you in one country or one channel, you're stuck. And we help them make those changes.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's really interesting because, I mean, you can see why it would be applicable to an Uber where you're in a million different countries with a million different processing payment platforms and all of the headache that could have gone in if they didn't have you guys. But to think about it for the retail brands that are out there now, and certainly any that have the ambitions of international expansion, you guys offer a really interesting value proposition. Could you tell us a little bit about kind of the point-of-sale devices that you are either have just come out with or are coming out with shortly, I guess?
Yeah, so I think what the decision we've made is we are a software company, right? We develop all the tech in-house. We do that centrally. We outsource nothing. And the platform that we've built is really the core of our expertise. And we've decided early on that hardware isn't something we're good at or we want to play in. So we've really scanned the marketplace, and what we've done is we've been working with Verifone and have chosen a whole range of their terminals in building our solution. And the good thing in how we've been able to approach is that we actually develop all the software on the terminal ourselves, which means we can add a lot of features that we need to deliver to our customers to make things happen. And the beauty is that by doing that, we have found a model where retailers integrate once with us, and they can use that integration for any of these terminals. So there's no individual certification or integration necessary. They integrate once with us, and they can use it wherever they like, whether it's in the US or when they roll out in the UK or in Europe. It's the exact same setup. And that standardization is a real important element for retail companies, because if you're growing, if you're expanding, you don't want to go through the hassle of configuring every store and finding out how to do it time and time again. So that standardization is a big part of the offering. And the other thing is that we're in picking terminals, we've also very carefully looked at what are the different customer journeys that our customers are more and more wanting to put in place. And mobile terminals are quite key there, because you really see the personal relationship is an important element in what they want to build in these stores. And so we have mobile terminals that either connect with an iPod or with a tablet, and then you can really have a personal checkout experience. So it's terminals for all the relevant use cases, but we've really picked a solid solution because we work with these well-known brands, and it's got to be super stable.
And how have you seen those consumer shopping experiences and the checkout experiences and payments kind of differ between, because you're a global brand as well, how have you seen that differ between the US payment side and perhaps the European payment side?
It's there's a lot of differences. I think one thing that's been very fascinating is EMV came to the US fairly recently.
Right. We're just within a year, or just past a year of the mandate for that, in fact.
Yeah. And it's something that in Europe we've seen for a long, long time, and everybody's very much used to. So change in payments in consumer behavior is hard. Yeah. It takes a lot of time, but it's starting to happen. And the bigger differences ultimately, if you look at payments across the world, are very driven by differences in culture. In Europe, Dutch people, German people grow up with the notion that credit is something that you really want to stay away with. It's a bad thing. So people dislike credit cards. You want to pay for something right now, and therefore there are different payment methods that represent, in these countries, 70% of all online payments are internet banking based payment methods. Yeah. So with credit cards, you miss out the majority of the market. In places like Japan, there's still payments where people actually walk out and do a cash payment in convenience stores.
Yeah.
And you think about, why that doesn't make sense, right? Because Japan, we're a really advanced country, but it's also in the culture. People like to go to the convenience store in their daily routine. They like to pay their bills, do a lot of different things, including making payments for transactions. And therefore, that's still a relevant payment method in Japan, although technically it doesn't per se make sense, but still people, it's in their habit.
What about like emerging payment methods?
Yeah.
Bitcoin, anything related to that? Do you guys see that there's like a possible rise in those kinds of payments?
There's ongoing interest, but I think Bitcoin right now, in terms of a payment method for retailers,
there's only a handful accepting it.
Yeah, it's been an experiment. We've supported it because we had merchants that really wanted it, and that drives what we develop. But in the end, they didn't see any volumes through that. I think what we do see, and that where there's really a growing interest and a lot of development coming, is in payment methods from China. So there's a lot of requests for the wallets from China. A lot of course, a lot of Chinese people traveling and spending plenty of money in the US, across Europe, and there's a lot of demand for that. So we work closely with a lot of the Chinese players to try and open it up and facilitate that. We do Union Pay in the US, which we see here in New York, a lot of traffic going through. So that's definitely an emerging category because the world is getting smaller, and you want to support these methods that are quite different from typical credit cards.
Definitely. Just before we wrap, what does success look like for you at Adyen over the next, year, 18 months perhaps?
Success for us is, there's different ways to answer that.
Sure.
One is, of course, hey, there's commercial success for the company, which means we're really keen to, significantly grow in the retail space with what we do. So success means that a year from now you sit here with us and we'll, you'd say, hey, I saw these Adyen terminals in like 10, 20, 30 different stores when I walked through Soho this afternoon.
Yeah.
That's success. The other part of the success would be, hey, how do we, for us, we have a very specific culture as a company. We've been growing really quickly. We have a very specific way of working. We're growing fast. Success very much means that we keep the culture the way we have it, the way of working. We have a very unique company as we have with such an international gang, and to maintain that is also a big part of the success, I think, because that's ultimately driving how we build the company.
Absolutely.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. And if anyone's listening that wants to learn more, I definitely encourage them to go check out the booth.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there's lots of demos going on there, so we can show some funky stuff.